Eight, man. First one of 2023. Sorry, it's been a minute. Just a few things, honestly. Just haven't really been able to get it all the guys together. As you guys can see, it's just me today. Evan Umstead here, for those that don't know. So we're just gonna get this pod going. We're gonna have a good pod, episode 8. Just the past couple of weeks, a lot's been going on, honestly. Just the Damar Hamlin kind of had the world shook up. I don't think too many of us were really in the mood to really just sit here and talk about sports, kind of with his situation going on, the Buffalo Bills player who collapsed on the field in Cincinnati after tackling T. Higgins, just a freak accident. I believe they said the helmet, they kind of went into cardiac arrest. The helmet hit him like right there in his heart at the right exact spot. Shout out to the athletic trainers and the EMS acting on the spot, getting him that CPR, getting him, back to, get his heart rate back going. He went to the hospital, was in the hospital for a few days in a coma and critical condition. Great news. He's out of the hospital, back in Buffalo, kind of just going through his treatment on his road to recovery. It's really not even about him ever playing football again. He was having a great season. Pittsburgh guy. I remember him from his days at Pittsburgh. He was there not last year, but the year before with Kenny Pickett, those guys. It's Pittsburgh made, born and raised. So he put on for his hometown team. Just to see the outpouring and the love that everyone showed, the prayers, the thoughts that were with him. Just to see that, it was really good. A lot of times in America, whether it's politics, whether it's other topics, there's a lot of always discussion, a lot of division in the country, and to see everyone from all sides of the spectrum come together, praying for him, thinking for him, really wishing that he gets back to, healthy, and it seems to be doing that on the road to recovery. So that's really a great thing. So Damar from the We Move Pod, we send out our tweets, we send out our Instagram posts. If you ever hear this, if you don't hear this, just know that you were in our thoughts and prayers. You still are. We hope you can, get back to your normal life, whatever you decide to do. Whether you never play football again, it doesn't matter. You just overcame, a situation where you could have been in death. So that's a blessing on your life. Prayers for your family, your friends, all of your close ones. We're good to see you back on your two. Hopefully we can see you at some of these games here coming up in the playoffs. So Damar Hamlin, just, from the We Move Pod, we love you, man. We're glad you're doing better. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. So with that being said, let's get into these topics, man. I haven't been able to talk to you guys since my Ohio State Buckeyes. Sorry about that. My Buckeyes lost in the college football playoff semifinals to Georgia, who we now know as the national champs after demolishing TCU. And it was a fantastic game, honestly. Like I was really hurt. If you know me, I'm not a great loser. If you think Tom Brady's a bad loser, I'm not the best. I'm working on it. But I'm not a great loser. So to see the Buckeyes lose after losing to Michigan, they almost like, and I hate to really say this because, they went out there and they won the game, but it almost just seems like, and you can't really say it because they won it. They won it straight up and they won it going away, but it just seems after they lost to TCU in their semifinal game, a couple questionable calls win against Michigan. So, but TCU dominated that game. They jumped ahead. They made the plays that needed to be made, and Michigan didn't. So, and almost in the Ohio State game, it was tough. You have the Marvin Harrison and Javon Bullard targeting call. That was questionable. But in my opinion, I didn't really think it was targeting. I think it was just a really solid hit. I hate Marvin got hurt. But if you're gonna call targeting, leave it out there. He hit him in the shoulder, might have got a piece of his head. But my complaint in the game there is Jim Knowles and that Ohio State defense. They didn't really show up. They made some plays in the first half. They didn't stop them at all. Second half, they got a couple stops. C.J. Stroud had amazing 300, 400 yards passing, making plays with his legs, showing his elusiveness, showing why he's going to be a top pick in the draft. I hope he goes to anybody but the Texans or the Panthers. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's just I think he's going to be a top pick. He showed why he was a top pick. The Michigan loss, it seems fluky, but I think he made up for it. He still hadn't decided. He may come back, so that's interesting. We'll see if he comes back. That changes the dynamic of college football if C.J. Stroud comes back to the Ohio State Buckeyes next year. So we'll see what goes on with that. But I think, the semifinal games, it didn't get any better than that. You saw Michigan get down, they rallied back. Next year they're going to be another top contender, probably number 1 or 2 team, probably number 2. Georgia back-to-back national champs after demolishing TCU in the championship game. I think it was like 55 or 62-7. something just brutal, just an absolute demolishing beat down. So that they're back-to-back champs. Stetson Bennett, walk-on legend. You know, he walked on to Georgia wearing the mailman hat to stand out at the camps. And he showed up, man. He showed up in the Ohio State game. He made the big throws. I didn't really like Ohio State, you know, when you let them score in one play, you know, taking the top off with I think it's Donnie Mitchell, number 10 on Georgia. You know, just taking the top off, Lathan Ransom falling down, kind of getting your safeties in that one-on-one position. And the one thing we talked about on the pod all year with Ohio State was that defensive secondary, man. That back, that the front end, they played pretty solid. You know, Georgia didn't really run it that well. The D line, the linebackers kind of stepped up. Steele Chambers had a big interception. Tommy Eichenberg made some big plays. They'll be back next year. So it was tough, man. It was a tough loss, but Georgia went out and they showed why they were champions. They responded. They made the big time drives. I mean, for me, the Noah Ruggles or the holder, you know, it was outside of his range, but I mean, he shanked it pretty bad. So that was kind of a mess up there. Kirby Smart, you know, with the big time timeout on the fake punt, that was big time there. I mean, Georgia just showed their championship DNA, but you have to be very proud of Ohio State, the way they stood in there. They fought with the champs. They went toe to toe. I like to say the national championship game, that was it, because I don't think TCU beats Ohio State. I think the Michigan game, them just being, they were locked in. They made all the plays they needed to make. So I have to, you know, you can't say it's a fluke. They made their plays. It's just like, in my opinion, you know, the better team is the team in Columbus. It's just in these past 2 years, when it comes to that rivalry game, Michigan's been more locked. They've been more loose. They haven't made the mental errors. So that's why they won the game. But excuse me, we'll see how that goes next year when, you know, it'll be in Ann Arbor. So J.J. McCarthy will be coming back. Blake Corum's coming back. Donovan Edwards will be back. They're losing Luke Schoonmaker, their tight end. But as you saw this year, they had a freshman tight end that could really go. So the Big Ten will be interesting. We'll get into a college football preview, but congratulations to Georgia and Stetson Bennett. He deserves his flowers. I think he should get drafted. Maybe it's a later round. He could be a good backup, potentially step in and be a Gardner Minshew type, maybe fill in for a team. I mean, he has the swagger, he has the moxie, and then he has the skill, man. You saw him use his legs. You saw him really ball out, man. He balled out. They much deserved national champs. You have to tip your cap to him, and you have to just salute him, man. That defense, they were playing a lot of freshmen. Malachi Starks in the defensive secondary. Smile Munden was really good. That team's really good. I mean, they should be the number one going into the season next year. They should be the favorites next year. They don't really have that too tough of a schedule. We'll see what Tennessee does. And it should be interesting, man. It'll be a really, really interesting year next year. You know, college football is getting, shout out to NIL, is getting pretty diverse. You know, there are a lot of teams that could win it. Last year, the 14 playoff before we go to the 12. But I just want to congratulate Georgia on their national championship. They deserved it. And I mean, there's no doubt. Like, I mean, like they said, that was total domination. That was absolute total domination, man. So as we move into the NFL, man, we got our wild card weekend is here, man. It's here. It's the most exciting time of the year. We'll talk about kind of, you know, the Bills-Bengals game in Week 17 gets suspended, has a huge impact on the playoffs. Hopefully we can get the guys here on the pod and kind of just discuss, you know, what's going on and, you know, the effect that it has on it. Because, you know, if the Bengals, they were winning at the time, if they end up winning that game, they can end up potentially, you know, end up being the 2 seed. But, you know, if they win that game and they beat the Bills, they'll be the 2 seed, and now they're the 3. So that means they have to play the Ravens, but that also means if they win this week and the Bills win this week, then they're going to Buffalo. So the only time the NFL announced, the only time it'll be a neutral site game, which I believe it'll be in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, would be if the Chiefs and Bills play. So even if the Bengals win next weekend, I'll get into my picks for this weekend and then going forward. If the you know, if the Bills win, then you know, you have to go to Kansas. I mean, if the Bengals win, then they have to go to Kansas City. So it's a lot at stake, a lot on the line. You know, it's Saturday. The games are about to start. You know, hopefully we can get this up and you guys can listen to it as the games are going on or a little bit after you hear my weekend picks for this weekend. And then next week, I'll probably go into and kind of discuss, you know, who I have winning it all. And who I have going forward. But I'll kind of give you my lookout as we stand as today on January 14th, as I stand where I see the Super Bowl heading and where I see the picks going. So to get into my picks, we got Seattle and the 49ers. Coming up here, 4:15 kick in San Francisco, or that will be, I think, a good one. Everyone in the world, you listen to everyone, they say it's going to be a beatdown, that the 49ers, I think they've won 10 straight. Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant, last pick of the draft, has been balling. He's been balling. He's been playing really pretty well. And on Seattle, you have Pete Carroll, you have Geno, you have Kenneth Walker. And for me, I think that'll be the difference. I think Kenneth Walker being able to run the ball at Seattle and Pete Carroll's playoff experience, I think it'll show this game. And I don't only think Seattle will cover their -9.5. I think they'll win. I think they'll win because at the end of the day, I think the playoff, it comes down to your quarterback play. And Brock Purdy's been really good, but I think Geno's been also, his passer rating's been good. His yards per game has been good. He hasn't been that great on the road, but I think he's due, along with Pete Carroll's a Pete Carroll masterclass, and their defense is solid. They have some good secondary. Their rookie corner leading the league in interceptions. They got Kobe White on the other side, so they're trying to form their new little Legion of Boom. I don't think they'll go very far, but I think they'll get it done this week, and I think Brock Purdy will kind of come down to life, and I think Kyle Shanahan will do a good job. I think it'll be a barn burner, but my prediction, I think Seattle will take this one 34-27, and I think Geno will have a big game. I think Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf will really cause that defense. Bosa's going to get after him. They have a good team, but I just think at the end of the day, the playoffs, it comes down to quarterback play. And I think Geno will shine. He'll have a playoff moment today. So I do believe in Seattle. So I'm taking them to win. And then in our 8:15 on NBC, you got the Chargers heading down to the Jags. Brandon Staley taking a lot of heat, taking a lot of criticism for playing his starters last week in the game against Denver, which they lost for a good chunk of the game. And Mike Williams ended up, getting hurt, having the back spasms. And they won't be missing him, but I like Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer has stepped in, and when Mike Williams got hurt earlier in the year, has been really good. Keenan Allen will still be playing. Austin Eckler will still be playing. Justin Herbert will play. And like I said, this also comes down to the quarterback play, in my opinion. And I think Justin Herbert will rise and shine. Trevor Lawrence, they made it to the playoffs. Salute to Jacksonville. They've had a good year. They have some solid weapons for Trevor Lawrence. Doug Marrone's done a really, really good job with this team. But I think at the end of the day, Herbert will shine through. I've seen him do some really go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. I've seen him go toe-to-toe with some of the top names in the league. So I think it'll be a day for him to shine and step up and really show what he's about. So I like Herbert. I like Herbert, and I like the Chargers to go on the road and get the victory done and move on to next week. With that being said, Dolphins-Bills, on Sunday at 1 o'clock. I think just the Damar Hamlin thing, the Dolphins will be missing Tua. They're going to be going with Skylar Howard, who stepped up. I mean, last week they beat the Jets to make it in the playoffs 9-6, so it wasn't that impressive offensively. And I think that's the problem. They just don't have the offensive firepower. I like the Bills. I think it'll be a close game just because I like Mike McDaniel. I think he's going to have his team ready. They're going to fight hard, but I think the Bills will just pull it out. I say my prediction in that game, I think it'll be probably 38-24 type game. I think the Bills will pull away a little bit, but I think that I just don't think they have the offensive firepower to kind of compete. I think Tyreek Hill will get loose. I think, Sherfield will get loose. Jalen Waddle, they have the weapons. Mike Gesicki, they have a good team. They have a good running game, but at the end of the day, I just think the Bills have too much. Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, Gabe Davis, Josh Allen, Devin Singletary. I mean, they have weapons for days. And I think Josh Allen, they're going to continue to stay motivated with Damar's situation on their hearts and on their minds, and they're gonna play and they're gonna get it done. So I like the Bills to kind of continue it forward. The Giants Vikings, this is a game. The Vikings have played a lot of close games. That they beat the Giants on a 61-yarder, and I think this game, I like the Giants to win this game. I'm picking them to win the game. I like Danny Dimes. I like Daniel Jones to show up and kind of, give a performance that, will lead him to get a solid contract that's coming up for them to tag him. I think Saquon Barkley will step up. And I just don't like the Vikings. I haven't liked them all year. They've gotten blasted a couple of times where it's just like, man, I don't know about this team. And I think that, they've showed their clutch gene, but I think The Giants don't fear anyone. They're going to go hard. They're going to get it done this weekend. So those are my picks for that game. Is that I think the Giants will get it done. I think it'll be a close one. And I think the final score of that game will be 24-21. I think the Giants will get it done. I don't really trust Kirk Cousins. I think it'll come down to him having to drive at the end of the game. He won't be able to make it. So I think the Giants will get it done 24-21 on the road. And with our nightcap on Sunday, you got the Ravens. Unfortunately, with Lamar Jackson, being out with his injury, we'll talk about the contract situation a little bit more in a pod next week. But he's out, man. And I feel like Lamar, I think he would play if he was fully healthy. But if they don't trust in him, to pay him and give him that financial security, he's not going out there if he isn't 100%. So they're going on the road. They looks like they're going to start Tyler Huntley against Joe Burrow and that vaunted offense. They're missing 2 offensive linemen. And next week we'll kind of discuss in the pod why I think and how my long-term effect on that, like how that can be impacted and how that'll impact them going forward. And we'll discuss that. But I just think the Bengals have too much firepower. I think they'll end up winning this game or like 31-14. I can see the Ravens keeping it close for a little bit, but I think the Bengals, I think Joe Burrow, this offense, they'll just pull away and kind of slowly, get that separation. I don't think T. Hunt, even having Mark Andrews, I mean, that's your best weapon, and it's a worthy weapon, but they just don't have enough. J.K. Dobbins will have a good game. They'll try to shorten it up a little bit, but I just don't think they'll be able to score enough to keep up with the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow will have a solid day, and I just think it'll be a tough one for him. So that's where I'm going on that one. And then Monday night, obviously, everyone knows I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. They go down to Tampa Bay and pay the 8-9 Buccaneers. Last week was a horrible, probably the worst performance I've seen in Cowboys history. Going into a playoff. I mean, losing to Washington 26-6. The offense played terrible. And I understand you want to get out there, you want to play as long as the division's still up for grabs. But then the offense was so bad, you almost have to leave them out there. The defense was bad, you have to leave them out there, and kind of you guys didn't really earn your rest. But I think honestly, all week everybody's been picking the Bucs. They have Tom Brady, they have the GOAT, they have Mike Evans, they have Devin White, they have all these guys who have been there. They've been banged up. Chris Godwin, they've been banged up. And for me, it's like the Cowboys had a couple losses, right? But it wasn't a game this year where I've seen, okay, the Cowboys have just looked horrible all game. It wasn't a game like that. There was, games that they lost on, coaching errors. There was games that they lost on mental mistakes. Dak Prescott has to, really tighten up, stop throwing these interceptions, stop throwing these pick sixes. And I think it just comes down to this. Like, the Bucs haven't looked good all year. They're starting to kick it. They kicked it into rhythm kind of against the Panthers. But I think the Cowboys are a different team. The secondary concerns really worry me. But at the end of the day, I just think the better team should prevail. I think Michael Parsons, hopefully, they get him kind of roam him around. Don't have him just kind of in as a sitting duck playing D-line, move him to linebacker, kind of get him roaming around a little bit and kind of get this defense back, in a rhythm. I think the Bucs, you just have to score like 24. And this offense has struggled to score. The Buccaneers offense has struggled to score. So I think Dak Prescott will have a bounce back game. This is legacy moment. We'll talk about, if the Cowboys do not win this game, I will have a pod almost probably immediately discussing the game. I think they will get it done. I think he'll just get it to Pollard. I think he'll get it to Zeke and kind of trust in them to kind of just, okay, go ahead and lead us here and get it done. So I think the Cowboys will get it done. I think the final score will be 27-17. The thing is, if it's close, then you're playing in the Brady's game. I think the Cowboys will kind of keep that distance, and the Buccaneers' offense will struggle just enough. They have a lot of injuries on their O-line to where the Cowboys can get it done and move on to next week. So I'm going to just, hope and pray, man, because this team, they didn't give me much to believe in, but I'm just thinking, like, the Bucs haven't looked good all year. And you've seen the Cowboys beat tough teams. I kind of put the Bucs on the same level as, like, the Jags this year, and even though they have Tom Brady, he's probably having his worst year of his career. I think the Cowboys will be able to prevail. It'll be a dogfight for a bit, and I think the Cowboys will be up 20-17 and just ice it with a drive at the end of the game. They go up 27-17, and that might be my homer speaking for me, but I think they'll get it done. I just don't think the Bucs are good enough, honestly. As we go forward, though, this is some kind of a pod to get you guys get it out of here, get you guys that content out of here. We'll have some more things coming in 2023. Thank you guys for all supporting us in 2022. the love has been appreciated. We feel it, and we're gonna up it. I'm gonna just give you guys my wild card picks this weekend, so I kind of stop here. The games are coming up, so we want to sit back and watch these. After this week, we'll talk about the picks that I made. We'll hopefully get the guys on the pod. They're all been really busy. I thought they'd be on here this weekend, but obviously they have a lot of serious commitments that are they have to tend to. But I'll kick it up. I had to get this out for you guys. Thank you guys for all the support on the We Move pod. Hopefully each year, we're gonna keep on pushing and going more and more and giving you guys some more content. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. We're gonna keep going. We move. I mean, it's about moving on from tough situations, good situations. If 2022 was a tough year, now we're on to 2023. Let's make the most of it. Let's have a good year. Let's get better every day, 1% better every day, whether that's in your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, whatever you need to do to grow. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and take care of that, and whatever that entails, do that to get better, because that's what life is all about. Each day, keep fighting, keep getting better. And if you have a bad day where you don't get better, just make up for it the next day. Everybody fails, nobody's perfect. Let's keep it going. So I appreciate the love from the pod. We all do. Jaden, John, Ian, all the guys. We appreciate it. Hope to have them back on here soon. I appreciate you guys all. We move. Hey, let's have a good one. Cowboys, please do not sell me, because you guys it'll be a day of reckoning on the pod. I'll have a lot to say to say the least. So let's have a good one, everyone. Be safe. Have a good weekend. And we'll talk to you soon. We move. Episode 8, Evan Umstead, shining out.